Okay, so the registration is on. So we can start the meeting. Today meeting is one of the appointment inside the MED program. MED stay for Meet ADI Designers. So in this case, the Studio Marco Piva is one of the member of ADI. In particular, we will be listening to architecture Daniela Baldo. She's a partner of the studio. In particular, she's the Chief Operating Officer. So she's the lady having the responsibilities to take care of all the projects from an operating point of view. It's a pleasure to have you, Daniela, with us. As this is the third meeting together with the Academy of Verona, I'm not going to present ADI as the students knows everything about the association. I know for sure that there are some students from Politecnico of Milan, from University of Camerino, ISIA, Roma, so on and so forth. I just want to remind students that they have the possibility to become aspirant member of ADI. So just check the ADI website. I'm not going to how can I say, drive the conversation on my personal ideas, because I want to leave the time to Daniela. So Daniela, thank you for being with us, and thank you for giving the possibility to students to understand what's the difference between what is a concept of a project and what is the reality in that in some manner happen rolling in a project. So please, Daniela, let's introduce ourselves in your studio, in the studio of Marco Piva.
So thank you, Antonella. Thank you, ADI, for inviting us in these meetings. I had the opportunity to listen to some of the previous meetings, and I think this initiative is really, really interesting, and you can take a lot of information and you can learn a lot, because university is absolutely interesting path, but at the end you need also to face to reality and meet with the client, with the requirement, with the timeline of the project, and all the requests from clients. So I will try in this short meeting, in this short lecture, to let you do a sort of travel. Now it's not too much possible to go around in the world, but we are actually an international firm, so we are working all over the 5 continents, from US, Africa, Europe, in Asia. We also have an office in Shanghai, and also in Australia we have some projects. So working all worldwide, we need to focus also on the local culture, in the local way of handling the project, having local partners. So it's so important to have sort of, let's say, values that you reflect in your design, but at the same time, you need not to be too strict in your design, but also adapt the design according to the local culture, to the local site, and taking some inspiration also locally. This is very much important. So our firm is an international design firm working in different scales. So we can say from spoon to town, as Antonella was saying before. So we are actually designing from urban design So we just deliver a huge master plan in China, design long part of the city. We can do also architecture from mixed use, residential buildings, hospitality. So we have a division specialized in hospitality, luxury homes, and also heritage, because we have the culture, especially in Italy, but not only, to restore buildings. So we have treasures in our cities that can be restored completely, and maybe the function can be also changed. So now there is a huge request maybe to change some buildings that were dedicated to offices to other functions, for example, hospitality or residential. And also we have some departments specialized in industrial design, so objects, furniture, exhibition, and also retail design. So you can see many different fields, many different scale of the project, and this is quite unusual abroad. So when we face clients abroad, sometimes they really find interesting on one side, but also very peculiar that we can design from a large city to a spoon to up, because we have the same approach to the design, but at the end we can come out with different design scales. So just briefly, I want to list the design values. I was saying every time we design a project, we start from the analysis of the site, but so every project is different. This is something we like to say, because we don't want to do any copy and paste. At the same time, you want also to express your ideas with some values that can be reflected in all the projects. So briefly, I prepared this few slides to show you our values. So sustainability, we know is a word that we overuse it sometimes, but is a value that is needed, is a must. So we cannot avoid that. And this is a project we did in the 90s. So it was a quite old project, but very, very innovative. We did it in Osaka, in Japan. Dynamic shapes. We think that in the design we need to create this harmony, this shape that should be fluid, dynamic, where people can move around, and you have this flexibility. Refinement. So for every single space that we design, sometimes so many square meters to be designed, but we like to focus on the details of every single square centimeters. So the use of light, the use of reflection, the use of materials, in a way that you can create a sort of setting, like a theater setting, where the guest can enter and can really feel the person in the space, and not just someone that walks around, but it's really like in a movie. So who is the most important person? This is the guest that enter in our space and can find some focus points. So it's the use of perspective in all the projects. Lighting and material for us is one of the most interesting words. So it's something that we discover every single day. So the use of lighting that creates the spaces, but at the same time we have a research and development sector department researching about new materials, new technology. So one suggestion I would like to say to you, starting from now, already at the university, to research, to go to exhibition when it's possible to go, research on the web. You have plenty of opportunity, and understand what are the new materials, new innovation materials that are coming out. Because with this know-how, then you can propose something unique to our clients. Density of material. This is an installation that we did using marbles, and sometimes you see this like a tornado. So you can do a sort of challenge. So we are doing a tornado made of marble. So it's something unbelievable, something that you cannot imagine, but then comes to reality. So some ideas that you have in your mind that at the end you can really come out with reality. Rhythm, so we like to create this rhythm from the furniture to, for example, the architecture. So this is a project we are doing in Milan. It's more than 200 apartments, and actually I was there with a new client that we have from Iceland. We would do a project, and this is a very new location that we didn't discover before, and we went with them in this to visit this project, and it will be delivered in 1 year and a half. But actually, they managed to sell all the more than 200 apartments 1 year and a half before. So that means that the project is really focusing on the request from the client. So you have plenty of materials, mood, and at the same time also the typologies of the apartments. Colors. Touch of color is also very important. This is an exhibition we did in Venice. It's a very interesting one, and we are really proud of it because we also won the Index ADI award for this exhibition. Purity on the shapes, on the materials. This was an installation for Bulgari. So for the very well-known retail shops to show the jewelries. And lighting. So you see the contrast between this, let's say, installation that we did called Conversation on Stone, where we created this marble A4 sheet in 2 millimeters thickness, that fly on the wall, and on the side you have this project we are building now is Tonino Lamborghini Towers in Chengdu in China. It's a very interesting project. I will show you later some images also of the interior. Transparency, used on furniture, and at the same time on a huge project like this one is crystal towers, like crystal souls that recall some ideas of the local culture in this place. So few examples from urban design, as we have also our friends from UA. We have a project here in Port Dubai that we did a few years ago nearby the Burj Al Arab, and this is a reclamation island with 45 villas on it, creating a hill. This was under construction. We have a project in South Haidian in China called The Shape of the Wind. One of our topics that we like to integrate in our project is the waterfront. So we have the opportunity to design many projects in front of the lake, in front of the river, in front of the sea. And this is something we really like because it is an added value for the project to have this element integrated. So it's not just facing on it, but we try to work around the water. This was a dancing sail. So the client brief was to have this like a ship of sails coming to the land. So that's why you have these shapes. Other project again in China on the water, Diashan Lake. And residential building, the one I mentioned before in Osaka, Japan. Sky Home in Milan. And Principe. This is the project we are doing in Milan. So more than 200 apartments. You have this rhythm, this lighting that frame the apartment. The concept for this project is very, very innovative. So it's a residential building, but the services that we are offering in this building are what you normally find in a hotel. So you have a reception, you have nearby the reception, you have the area refrigerator. So if you have you want your shopping coming into your house, you can refrigerate it. You have some how can you say smart working areas, so people they can share the spaces to work. So it's much more oriented to what are the needs now. So kids area, the roof, you see the garden on top is a roof garden that you can rent. So each owner can have for one day a party. So they have these services that we think are really, really interesting. And of course, a spa, fitness area. You see these terraces. We notice now, after all this lockdown period due to the pandemic, that the exterior spaces are much more important. People need to breathe, to have some spaces, and also the rooms need to be so flexible. So in our design, we try to make the space flexible, so you can actually change it according to the need of the people that they are occupying these spaces. So we had, everyone faced this problem with maybe homeschooling or some smart working, or so people from different ages that were using the same spaces with different needs. So this should be reflected also in our design. The design cannot be exactly the same that was 10 years ago. This is our opinion. And here you have the sky garden, where also the facade has been treated to be in continuity with the sky. So the integration of the green, you see landscape sustainability that we were saying before, is now integrated in the interior and in the architecture as well. So it's not just put in some vases with some plants that each one can do up to them taste, but it's something that is coherent with the entire design. This is a project, again, in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. It's called Melody Homes, that we did a few years ago. We built the Oceana, also in Dubai, nearby the Palm. And Raudat, this project has been completed last year. It was suspended for a while due to some permitting delay, but at the end we managed to complete it. Another project in Rome, Domus Aventino. That was quite interesting because after the excavation, they found out some historical mosaic. During the excavation in Rome, it's quite often possible that you find something that has a huge value, but at the same time can stop the work because you need to do something to, go to the superintendency. So we found out during the design process about this, and we said, okay, can be an added value for the project. So let's open a sort of private museum inside the residential building, so people, they can have this value inside the building. So that's why we have at the ground floor this private museum. Some picture of the interior. Luxury homes, we have this division for the design of private villas. We did some of them in California. This is one we did in Beverly Hills. You see a very particular shape integrated in the architecture, and every single design that we did inside here, piece of furniture, fit out, everything is custom design, made in custom. For example, you see the complexity here of the design. So the staircase connected to the full ceiling and to the floor. So every single design pieces is designed on purpose for this specific project. And we had the opportunity also to propose some Italian manufacturer to install, to produce and install this design. For example, the client asked us also for the pool to make everything in steel. So it's a special pool that has been produced in Sweden and then send it to Los Angeles and install totally and completely there with the Sweden manufacturer. So every piece is absolutely unique, just to create really a unique design with the view of the downtown of Los Angeles. You see, for example, the bathtub also is a custom design piece, and these are other villas because we have around the canyons different villas. So we designed the architecture and the interior as well. In Los Angeles, we found out that you have wonderful spaces, big villas, but at the end they don't really focus on the details and the quality. So they put nice marble sometimes, but then you don't have too much design. So it's like a collection of fireplaces, sofas and stuff, but not much. So our client was really demanding and saying, I want to place on the market something different. So not something huge and that's it, but something well designed. So we did several projects for him as an investment that have been placed on the market. In Dubai, nearby Dubai, we are doing some compounds of private villas for very important clients. I don't have too many images that I can share, unfortunately, because of the copyright, but this is just few to show that as we are working with very high-level families of sheikhs, the request was very peculiar, and each of them had a very different request of style, of needs. So we had to meet with all of them. So the design process is not just, okay, let's start and do a nice design, but first of all, try to understand the need of each client. So sometimes you are facing with private clients. Things are not so easy when you go with private client because you have wife and husband. Maybe you don't know which one has the more importance, or let's say which one can be convinced more on one design direction. So it's quite challenging to have all these meetings and at the end have them satisfied. While you work with the fund of investment of hospitality chain is a totally different story because the client is not the one that will use the space, but is normally a client representative. Here is a project in Shanghai. It's two among these 5 villas. They are actually huge, so like 5,000 square meters each, like pavilion actually. And the client is really interested to apply local material and at the same time also Italian special material. So the design is very pure, innovative in terms of dimension of the glazing and very flexible. So you can open totally the facade and you can have this connection between interior and exterior. Our approach to design is actually this. So when you design the interior, you are not doing a decoration. So just putting some color or putting some furniture together, but it comes as architecture design of the interior. So you treat the walls as they are facade, and fit out is so much important. In this way, we really like to have this continuity between architecture and the interior. Sometimes we have the opportunity to design fully the project, sometimes just one part, but it's very important, even if you design only one part, to understand what the architect did, if you are not the architect, and then do the interior in a continuity. Otherwise, the projects are not feeling coherent. There is not a smooth connection. Hospitality, we have a division, hospitality, and we did many different projects of different scale. This is in Venice. We won also many awards for hospitality design. this is a project that I will take as a case history later to let you understand more about the complexity of the design. It's very, very interesting. We had this opportunity to win this competition, international competition, and it's a building from the 30s. We had around other 3 buildings that had been demolished completely, and we had to include a new building. So actually, you have the historical building and on the side the new building, all connected. The client was the mayor of Qatar, and the request. So the project was in Milan, like 10 minutes from our office, walking, so very close. We had the opportunity to follow each stage, but with an approach very, very international. These are some of the awards that we won. And the design approach for this project, as the building was from the 30s in front of the central station, we tried to take some inspiration from the decor of Milan from the 30s. So the use of marble, of metals, use of glass, the use of lighting, and we try to make it in a very contemporary way. So inspiration comes from the past, but then we cannot do something copy and paste from the past, because this is not possible and doesn't have any sense. So we try to use the technology that we have now. For example, in this theater, you see these seats can disappear under the floor totally. So you have a very flexible space. The boiserie is soundproofing to create a wonderful environment also for concert. So this cupola, so this dome, is also designed to break the sound. So you can use this room without any microphone, make a concert, make a private cinema, private theater. And it was a small space, but that has been designed every single centimeter with so much attention, the acoustic consultant. So the interaction that you need to do is not limited within your company. So when you will be in a design office, you work with your colleague, that's fine, but you also need to interact with so many different specialists in order to have your ideas reflected in a good way, because otherwise maybe the look can be beautiful, but then the sound come out strong outside the door. And there was, for example, in this case, the Katara Suite, so the 2,000 square meters suite, so huge suite next to it, occupied by people that pay too much money and they cannot be disturbed by some sound. These are some of the elements that we designed. So a private spa, this jury. Also, this product has been awarded with the Menzione d'Onore ADI. Some picture of the rooms, because we had, in this case, a historical building, so we had to design so many different typologies of rooms. And this was, in a way, difficult for us, because we had to make so many different designs, but at the same time, also an opportunity. So we decided, for example, to dedicate to each single gentleman of the design one of the rooms, to create a name of the room. So to have art room, design room, some poet room. So each one different, in a way that the guest every time can come again to the hotel and experience a different room. And this is also a way for the operator to welcome again the guest every single time. For some of the rooms, for example, the smallest one, we use this reflex glass, so very reflective surfaces that can enlarge the space in the vision. Some terrace bar, where we create, as I was saying before, research for material is important. Here you can see, for example, this counter has been created in metal, molded on natural stone with the lighting, wash. So it's a very special and creates a focus point for the people entering the bar. This is the Katara Suite, the huge suite dedicated to the Emir that then can be rented for a cinema setting or for very powerful singers or other, as a private spa here with the private dome. The pool here. In this case, we also did a consultancy for the clients. So instead, for example, of having on the top floor all the conference room, we thought that was better to have the conference room at the ground floor, so you don't need to have go up and down with so many people, and have the pool on the roof, so you can actually enjoy the view, have natural light, and the pool is totally black, so with a natural stone and the light integrated. And you see on the back wall, we have special material, is a mosaic integrated with platinum. So we will see later on how important also is the cost control of the project. So design, good ideas, yeah, but within specific budgets that the client give you. So even when you are facing, you are working with clients with a high-level budget, good budget, but every single cent is counted and they want to have a justification. So they pay if it has a meaning. Otherwise, they want to go for something maybe cheaper with the same value. So this is also one part that you need to consider. In this case, we had the opportunity to have this platinum wall coherent with the rest, and we cut the money on the other part. This is the Tonino Lamborghini Towers, Chengdu. It's a huge project we are designing. Actually, is I think the biggest project we have under construction at the moment. So with these two towers, you have apartment, hotel, commercial center, theater. So it's really huge. It's a landmark. The operator is Tonino Lamborghini, which is an Italian brand that is opening many hospitality facilities, especially in Asia. We are controlling all the effect and using very interesting material combined with the light. This, for example, in the area of the shopping. And we created this Tonino Lamborghini Cafe, TL Cafe, which is the first one that then will be replicated all around the world in their new project. So they ask us to have these images, which is recognizable and something unique that can be replicated all around. So I show you some of the images of the project. We did so many different mock-ups, room, mock-ups apartment, and it's not so easy to check all the construction drawing locally. So the process is not just what you see here as rendering, but then after we do the rendering, you need to do all the technical drawing, technical detail, providing the sample. Then they send the other sample, maybe because they want to find something locally. So it's a huge effort that doesn't end when the project you think is ended. You see different typologies of apartment. The view is absolutely amazing. We like to play on the wall with more than one material, maybe combination, in this case wood and stone, headboard in leather to give a softness touch. For the bathroom, you have the view from the bathtub, and again, this lighting is so important that frame the spaces, frame the mirrors, and we try every time to like create this focus point. So when you see, to have something that is like a picture that can perfectly work. Every typologies of apartment is different. You have also 5 different restaurants with different kind of food. And the pool, spa and pool, again, special material, use of this was the contrast between cold and hot colors to create something very relaxing. And the Sichuan theater, Sichuan is the region, and is a regional theater, so is one of the biggest one of this huge region. Heritage, so some projects we are developing in the heritage sector, so like Palazzo Tirso in Cagliari, there are buildings that need to be totally refurbished but can have a new life. So using exterior lighting, refurbishing the facade, and making some totally new projects, of course, understanding also what are the constraints of the project, but we can come out with really something beautiful. This is a building we have here in Milan, in Piazza Cordusio, very nice one. Is under construction, all the refurbishment. Santa Sofia, again, is on-site picture, and this is some rendering of how it's gonna be. So different hotel operator, different idea. This is the touring club. So it's a building that in Italy we know it very well because it's related to traveling. One of the institutions that created so many guides, books, and etc. for traveling. So the concept of traveling has been used and replicated, applied all over the project, emphasizing what are the let's say the historical elements. You see also the rooms, so maps, artworks can be also linked to the topic that you are using in the project, and we refurbish all the false ceiling using this lighting to emphasize the details. In this case, it's also interesting because we have this constraint of not enough natural light on this floor for this room. So we had this idea to create a two-level, like a duplex room, so to gain some natural light, and then to create a new typology. So it's a new room that can have also an added value. So sometimes with the constraint, you can also come out with some more interesting idea. And in Venice, we have this amazing project, is the Palazzo Nani. Is an historical project, historical building where you see there are paintings, original paintings, and stucco, and all these very interesting decoration that we totally refurbished. But to make the interior project, we decide not to link our structure to the historical wall, because this was not possible at all, because each wall is preserved and you cannot do any hole. So the only idea is to make everything self-standing. So you see, for example, the wardrobe, the bed, the light, everything is suspended, is self-standing, and doesn't have any connection with the box. So you see the painting, we are not touching anything. And this is very nice project, and we are going on site every week. It's nearly finished. Some mixed-use projects, so cultural center in this case, that we are designing in China, with these flexible shapes. This South Edian with also ice skating area, different residential typologies, office, and this is a very particular project, and we are quite excited about it because it will be the first one in the world. Is an extreme sports center. So basically you will have inside all the very extreme sport like skydiving, parkour, and all the crazy things combined together in a building. So this is a concept project that will be then replicated in different parts of the world. some skyscraper, retail. We are the designer for Bulgari, all the shops windows in the world. So you see some picture from New York to Rome and different places. Exhibition, this was the one I mentioned before in Venice. Some sculpture. And we also added 2 divisions to our office recently. One is related to the aerospaces. So we designed the lounges for some flight company like Alitalia, Italian company. And we call it Casa Alitalia. So it means home, because for us, we want to create for the people traveling and going from one plane to the other, to create a place where they can really relax, find a nice and cozy place, not like a normal area in the airport. And you see the made in Italy quality, so all the design pieces have been selected carefully. Also the airport pod, some interiors of aircraft. And luxury marine design, this is last year, end of last year, we launched this division, and we are designing also some private yachts with, of course, some material selection and mood that can fit for the yacht. So something luxury, very special, but you know, you need to apply very specific technology. For example, the thickness, the load of the marbles for the floor or for all the surfaces should fit for your design. So this is an area that will deserve a special lecture apart. And then design, we are designing many objects like these lamps with glass from Muran, these rugs. Some of them are designed and we use it for our project, for example, in our hospitality project. So we have also this opportunity to design something that we can also apply for our project, or there are products that comes in the catalogs of this high-level company. This is Stitches, my private boutique, or for example, you have this special door that is aligned totally in the wall, handles, lamps. So this is a very short selection, just to show that we have this wide range and flexibility to design from many different materials. So the important is to know the technology, to understand how the materials.
Voi state perdendo tempo a prendere con Marco invece di pensare a quello che volete fare voi, a cosa volete e con chi lo volete fare. Perché non si capisce con chi lo volete fare. Non va bene?
Okay. So I go again on this selection. I want to show you this one that we like so much. We launched it at the last Salone del Mobile. Is a bathtub completely designed in marbles. The shower integrated that received so many likes on all the social network because it was very innovative, very something new, the shape very organic, and we did it with this company called Citco, Italian company working in very high level manufacture for marbles. We are also working with Visionaire and all these companies. For example, this project I want to show you is a lift. So it's a totally custom design lift that received also one of the awards that we designed entirely during the pandemic. So our idea was to create something that is totally possible to clean it, to have something efficient. As you know, the lift is one of the places that people are afraid now of because you don't have, you cannot breathe fresh air, so you are a bit afraid if you are going there with other people, maybe for the virus. So that's why all the technologies that have been implemented in this lift, you see, can change it, material. All the materials selected are material that can be clean out easily. So they have a technology also in the handles. So you see with the sort of specific UV ray, while the people, they go out from the lift, they totally make it fresh, and you cannot be afraid of it. And you can change it totally from aluminum to ceramic, specific material, until the multi-screen, so like LD screen, if you need maybe to raise many floors. Okay, so I finished the first part, and if you have any question, I'm open to answer. Otherwise, I can continue and go more on the technical part to try to show you quickly how to manage this complexity of contract projects. So not just the design. So we saw the design is quite complex, but how I can handle this project, how are the relation with the people, with the timeline, what are the risks, and all this part that I would like to share with you.
I just have one word, which is amazing, because your project, so I think that students are speechless in this moment, because they're impressed by your projects and so on. Usually we take the question time at the end, just not to break the rhythm. So go on, keep impressing ourselves.
Okay, perfect. So areas of the project. We saw before, we are doing projects from on the land, on the sea, on the sky, so many different locations. We are handling with the complexity of players. So while we do this complex project, you are facing with a wide range of professional roles in different expertise. So you need also to be prepared to talk to a lawyer, to talk to economists, not just with your colleagues. So that's why we need to be really open-minded. And sometimes you are not talking with the clients directly. So as I was anticipating before, you are not talking to the people that will use the space, but maybe to a client representative. And client representative can also change during the duration of the project, because sometimes this project that we saw, you can understand, are not like exhibition spaces, can be short, so you can do it quite quick. Realize and then dismounted, while for a hospitality project or this project that I show you, they take a few years, so also the client representative can change. What I want to pass you as a message is that all the players are potential clients. So we don't say who is the client, okay, we have one client, but we need also to take all the opinion from all the different specialists and try to understand that can maybe bring some added value to the project. I prepared this chart just to show you in general. This is a general idea, general structure. Then of course each one can be different for each project, but you have the client, you always have a project manager, some client advisor. If it's an hospitality project, an operator that provide you the guideline that you need also to follow. We suggest also to have on board in all our projects a photographer or filmmaker that can also place the cameras during the site works, demolition, construction, and then can create a movie, because this also is so much interesting for the project itself and for the client to explain the history of the project, to understand how we get to the final result. You have a procurement management, the people that buy all the materials and furniture. Cost consultant, that for us is a must. So we need to face from moment zero with the cost consultant. So someone that starts saying, we have this budget, sometimes provide a specific budget for a specific each item, and this you can have your creativity, you can express yourself the best way, but at the same time you need also to be within the budget, because we are a sort of partner with our clients. So you cannot just say, I do the design that is nice, but this design should be profitable, so it should work in terms of also financially. So what you are proposing should also be reflected in the project. Lead consultant that can coordinate all the discipline, a specific operator, so sometimes you have an operator for the hotel, other for the spa, for the restaurant, so you also need to understand their requirement. This to understand that the guideline, they are not given just by the client, so you do a kickoff meeting with the client, you have a brief, and you can go and then you deliver the project. No, it's back and forth a lot to understand what all the players have in their mind. And then the different disciplines, so architecture, interior, and of course engineering. It's very important also to understand, we are not engineers, but at least to understand and coordinate with them, because you cannot do your interior project that doesn't implement all the MEP structure and fire requirement, acoustics. So when you do the meeting with them, you also need to have some an overview about their discipline. And then sometimes you face also some coordination with the lighting consultant, landscape consultants, and in case it is required also some permitting, we have the permitting consultants, and sometimes with also some specialist lawyers. So this is just an example of the chart, because I show you the project of the Gallia before. So we had a 5-star luxury hotel around 30,000 square meters, so 235 rooms, and this was the structure of the organigram for the team. So you see that we were integrated in many different other players. So just to go quickly on each of the main roles. So project and construction manager is one of the most important role when you have a site of this complexity. Maybe when you design just an apartment, it's not that much important, but then when you have a site of this dimension, like the one that we are now building in Chengdu, you really need to coordinate with them, that is responsible also for the health and safety, and issue all the minutes of meetings. So we coordinate monthly, sometimes weekly with them. The cost consultant, we passed this before. What I want to give you as important things about the cost consultant is that sometimes we design everything on the budget, but at certain moments we think we found out that we are not in the budget, because the client maybe can cut also the budget during the process, because maybe they found some unexpected issue. For example, in this specific case of the case history that I want to show you, the Gallia project, they found out that there was asbestos in the building, so they had to remove the asbestos, and the cost of it is quite relevant. So they asked us to cut the budget, so they took out the part, even if the design was totally aligned with the budget. So how you can do it? So you need to have a session of value engineering project. So you, in a way, you try to identify which are the elements that you can modify in the project that has been already approved, but in a way that cannot affect too much the image of the project. So some ideas, in this case, we identified these elements, and we said, okay, we can, for example, change the finish of the floor, or we can change the finish of the towel heaters. Instead of having mirror, we can have it white in all the standard rooms. So some small changes that apply on the big quantity, they can reduce the cost, but they don't actually have the impact, for example, on the entrance hall. We didn't want to take out even €1. While, for example, we decide for the swimming pool, as I told you before, to have this platinum wall with the lava wall, because we thought it was very special, so we didn't want to find any compromise on it. But we had the opportunity to cooperate with the cost consultant and define together which are the elements that will not affect too much my project, and we did this. This diagram is just to show you the possibility of reducing the cost. So having this value engineering process can be done, but we need to do it at the initial stage of the project. As soon as you go in too much detailed project, then you need to remake all the design, or maybe you already bought all the materials, so you need also to rebuy materials. So you need actually to do this stage of this process of the value engineering as soon as possible with the client. Purchasing agent, the person that buy all the goods and services, so is handling all the negotiation with the supplier, because you will do all the specification for the product you want to buy, for example, all the furniture, the lamps, and whatever your materials. But then you are not sure that the client will buy exactly what you specify. So this is one part that you really need to have under control. So the person that is in charge to buy all these material need to propose eventually alternative if maybe the product that you specify is not within the budget. So they can create different specification with alternative, but you need to be involved in the approval. Otherwise, the result can be totally different. So we like sometimes to do this sort of game. So we place our rendering close to the final picture, and we like to see that at the end they really they are exactly what was the initial ideas. But to make it exactly the same, you really need to fight with many players in order to get your results. Sometimes you have a chart like this, so they provide you budget for each single item. So they tell you exactly the square table, how much should cost. So when you do your specification, you are aware of it. And then you need for custom project to product to go on the factory and also check the quality. For example, this was a technical lighting. We install it at the height that's supposed to be installed. We check the quality of the lighting, the color temperature, the effect, and this is something you cannot do on site. You need to do it before. These are other manufacturers we went to. For example, this for artwork panels. We had the opportunity on this specific project to make also the artwork collections. So we didn't limit ourselves on the architecture, lighting, landscape, interior, but also selection of artwork, selection of books about lifestyle, fashion, design, selection of cigars, so everything. And this was because the client was really good client that want to make sure about the final effect, so they give us the opportunity to check and design everything in order not to spoil the final look. Operator, so the operator for a hotel is an important role, that's for sure. They are more focusing on the maintenance, on the profitability, more than design. Design is important, but at the end, as I said before, it needs to work. So sometimes you have the operator on board since the beginning, so they can give you the guidelines. Sometimes they finish the design of the hotel and then they do a tender, and they invite several operators, and one of the operators takes the project. So in this case, the design has a lot of responsibility, because you need to design something that can work also operational wise. And this is something you can do only if you have a strong know-how, strong experience in project for hospitality. This is a chart for interior design structure. I don't want to go too much in detail, but just to say that also in the interior design for office, you have different roles. So you don't have only the chairman, the person that has the name of the office, but then there is a team. So different departments that work together. You have a specific team for design, but also the visual department. So our visual team is growing more and more in the last 2 years, because we think that now showing the project to the client has a very, very important role in terms of not showing only technical design, but you need also to let the client enter in the mood that you are designing. So now we have also a movie division, and we will launch it in these days. It's a very new thing that we want to create, not just rendering, so fixed images, but the client can really enter in the project and better understand, because you need to consider all the time that most of the time the clients are not technical in our field, so they cannot imagine how the project will be. So they, as much as possible, they want to have something photorealistic, to touch the material, to really see how the project will be. So also lead material and finishes, this is a role very important. So our style department specializes in the selection of materials and furniture and all the new materials. Important to create the mood. The same for architecture, so exactly the same, and we have this coordination with the other disciplines. Yeah, so just one word about this slide. In addition to what I said before, there is also some specialists in creating the bill of quantities. So once you finish the design, maybe at the university not all the time is possible because the courses are short, but then the client want to have reflected in an Excel data sheet all the elements that you put, all the quantity, all the square meters, put the cost of each material. At the end, you should comply with the budget. This is not something for having fun too much, because it's a very tough job, but it's part of the design. So design is not just creating a nice rendering, but then there is all this part behind. Interior team leader. So we have also many meetings that we need to attend with other consultants. This slide that I want to show you is again for this example for the Gallia project. You can understand that while you have a project so huge, we have so many deliverables. So you have deliverables, that means drawing, specification, bill of quantities, and so on, coming out from the architecture firm, from the interior, from the lighting, from the landscape, from MEP, from the technical supplier, from the lift supplier. So from many consultants and suppliers. So it may happen, and we are human, so it may happen that you take a wrong deliverable, maybe you approve the wrong one, or they use for construction the previous version, so it can be really a risk. So in this case, they apply this platform as one of the platform online that allow you, for each consultant, to upload your deliverables, to ask if the deliverables are for info, for some consultant, for action, so they need to approve, or they just need to see. If they approve with comments, they reject, they approve totally. So all this process takes a lot of time, and at the end, for our curiosity, we notice how many drawings we upload, and we checked, and we approved, and we rejected. At the end, there were 14,000 only for this specific project. So you can understand it's a huge effort also to be on, how can I say, to go on time and check your deliverables, because if you are not on time, you cannot say, but I sent you the email yesterday, maybe it was in the spam. No, there is no way to justification. Everything is there. If you approve, if you didn't, and you need just to make sure that you do your work. So the management of deliverables is not so easy, but we have a technology and a method that we apply. So to code, make a code for each deliverable, make the revision, and indicate how many days for comment or for approval for the other consultants. Okay, this is one of the mood boards. So for each space, we like to create this mood board. So combination of materials that we have in each single space. So the client can really, on the side, can touch the material. So this mood board can be digital. So you can create like this, or can be physical. So we like to invite our client in our office and present this mood board, so the client can really see the final effect. This was a project organization chart example, just to say, in a project like this, you see, we cannot have one designer. The project is so huge, 30,000 square meters. So we divided in 4 areas. One for the rooms and corridor, the public areas, the suite, and the spa and restaurant. So each area, of course, coherent between each other, but different leadership. We have a design responsibility matrix. So for each of the space, we need to know who is responsible for what. So for example, here we had the historical building, who is responsible for the executive stage, for the construction stage. So all these things are really important, and you need to be aware when you design who is, what is your responsibility on that specific project or that specific area of the project. The interaction between the different expertise, these are just some charts. I cannot go too much in detail, but just to show you that you are not alone in the project. You don't have only one client, but you need to interact with all these specialists. Sometimes as the project is big, they divide it in packages. So you have also reference for each different packages. And just to clarify for everyone, for all the players, they produce some design responsibility matrix. So normally the project manager creates this responsibility. So it is stated in your column, what is your responsibility? Is just to be kept informed, or you need to support, facilitate, or is your responsibility, so your own managers, or you just need to approve? So when you design, you also need to go through all this chart and understand exactly your role. This Gantt is just to show, for example, for this project, we did 500 meetings between steering committee with the client, coordination meetings. So this was just the page for August. I like to put this one just to say August is normally the month that we are closed, or let's say in Italy, people are supposed to go to holiday, enjoy the sunshine. But here we had basically meeting every single day. So this was one of the meetings we did before the COVID, so we don't have any mask. Importance of timeline. So we cannot take more time for our design, because it's so important to be within the timeline of the client. This because, you know, every single day of delay in the design or in the construction can have a strong impact on the overall project, and so can really create a lot of extra cost. So using this project Gantt, so this chart, the timing are under control. So you have a line for each activity. Sometimes, as you can see in this project, there was an overlapping of activities. So the design could not go, first we do the room, then we go for the public area, so we do it smooth. No, it was really a fast track project, so we had to do all at the same time, organizing our team in a very short time. So for example, executive design for all the rooms and corridor and suite was just 4 weeks. So it's a very limited time. Sometimes we can have delay for the permitting. so something that doesn't depend by us, but all the time we have a target and this countdown on site with the number of days left before the opening. So you need to try to make your best as designer and the construction company as well to meet with the timeline that the client has. There is a procedure for all the process that you are handling. For example, shop drawing approval, there is a procedure, number of calendar days for approval, rejection. For example, mock-ups. One thing I didn't mention yet is when you do a project of this complexity, it's very recommended from our side to make, and we normally require to our contractor to make some mock-ups. So maybe floor to ceiling, 1 meter, to create some partially mock-up that you can verify, check that they can work, and then they can apply on the overall spaces. So we have this approval process as well. For example, we did the mock-up for the facade. This is a model of the facade. This is Palazzo Nani. This is a picture from last week. So selection of colors in the portal, in the interior walls is very important now to match with the historical in this case. So you have also this responsibility. The way of matching the slabs of natural marbles is not something that comes as, for example, ceramic, then you can print it so you can have your design. Here is a natural material, so maybe you select a material that is so much costly, and then if they install it wrong, then the effect doesn't work. So you need a continuity on the vein. We suggest also to make this check in terms of ergonomy. So you see, for example, here, before we do a mock-up room, you see this model, so we can see if the height of the desk can work with the chair, if the all the technical equipment can fit, the TV, lighting control, all these. First you check it in MDF or something easy to cut, and then you go into the finishes and you do like this, integrated all the lighting system, the plugs, reading light, and you check everything. Okay, now I go just quick on the last part. There are some risks, of course, related to the site condition. Sometimes you don't have enough spaces for storage. The site can have a dimension that is not suitable. Operation can decide to make some changes during the project, maybe the number of stars, or maybe to add some more spaces, so they can actually ask for changes on the project. And I was saying before, the purchasing agent maybe can select some furniture or some material that are not the one that you specify. So it's really important to put the eye on it and double check that the quality can work. And finally, this is the method of procurement for the contractors. So they can divide let's say the packages if the project is complex, but at the end you will be also called to double check the tender packages. So the companies that are invited to produce and install your design should be qualified, of course, with some certification, you know, all the company structure, financial turnover. Okay, and once they are qualified, the thing that works in the evaluation is not just the financial part that you will see one part, but also the technical bit. So how they handle this tender, how they analyze the project, their commitment. So maybe did they ask any RFI? Did they invite you to see the company factories? All these parts. So sometimes the designer is also called to check these documents and be on the side of the client to see not just which offer is the cheapest one. Okay, let's go for the cheapest, but let's see in general, because maybe sometimes you pay more, but included you have more. So you really need to understand reliability of the company. And so that's to say that design, I hope I expressed myself quite well, to say that design is not just making an engine design, but also doing all these jobs that are not part of it, but are part of the design process and are part of the success of your design. Because if you just limit your concept design, you leave it, then maybe you will find something totally different. If you want to have your project installing correctly and realizing correctly, then you need really to fight with so many players and get the success of your project. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really impressed by your presentation, and I would like to stress the point that, and thank you once again for sharing all this information, because this is part of your strategy at your studio. So I think it's very important for students to understand how the level of complexity behind those marvelous projects, because they are marvelous, but just considering 14,000 drawings, it's a figure you cannot even imagine from the beginning. So really thank you for sharing this information. The other point I want to underline is the fact that also the mock-up is very important, because we think that everything is virtual nowadays, but in a virtual approach, everything is under control. But at the end of the day, as we are physical, as human beings, it is important to verify everything. Also using the physical mock-up, which is a costly activity, but in any case, the role is to anticipate the risks. So we have been talking slightly also of risks, which are important in terms of evaluation in the project management procedure. So I'm really impressed. I don't want to, how can I say, I want to leave space to students, because I'm sure they are impressed. So students, don't be shy, because I can imagine that now you are wondering if you are able to face all these aspects of the project. Take your time. You will have time to learn a lot, and what's required to face all these aspects. But if you have today the opportunity to ask also a silly question, because remember that you need to be curious. So please, students, go ahead with your questions.
I would say, Antonella, don't be shy to the students, because no one of us starts with 14,000 drawing on the first day of their work experience. So there is a way to get this know-how during your experience. So don't worry.
Yes. Some days ago, another design said that if you consider that this is what you need to be a designer, what you learn at the school is a very tiny part, because you need to keep the pace, improving and learning, keep studying and so on. So students, Rawad, I know that you are full of questions. Are you with us, Rawad? So we can see also the Arab part of students.
I'm in Dubai, and we were actually traveling every month there, because we had many projects there. But now with this pandemic, it's more complex to travel.
Yes, I'm going first because I do have a question for
Okay.
you. How COVID is changing or changed the way you approach a project? Because you act as an international studio, so probably even before you were used to work from different territories and so on. But how COVID changed the way you work? Or your mindset, how COVID changed your mindset? Because before you present the lift project, I appreciated with UV ray and so on.
Yes, for sure this pandemic has changed our way of working, but we really consider that we cannot avoid the meeting with our clients, going to our site. So this part is essential. So we increase the number of video calls, that for sure, with so many different software, but we met all our clients from US to Australia to China. But we are keep traveling when it's possible, because we to go to the site, that for sure is important to be on site and check the quality of the works. But we think that yeah, sometimes it's good also to increase the number of these video calls so you can meet more with the client. But at the end of the day, we need also to meet with them physically, because this is an essential part that cannot be missed. So, for example, in China, we have an office, our company based in Shanghai, with people there. So we managed to work very well in that country, because actually we got also very many new projects in China, and we are very happy that is going well the country. But we managed to do it with a video call, but at the same time also with meeting from our local office on the site of the clients. So we think that now smoothly, but we will be back to normal, if we can call it.
Okay, and that's the reason why Armando Bruno is traveling to Congo today, because hopefully we will keep traveling across the world. Come on, students. I really think that they are impressed, because the level of complexity of the project you present is very high. So they they feel a bit inadequate. So I have another
Don't worry,
question.
ask whatever you want.
Yeah, also silly question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I can imagine that they are wondering what are the skills you as studio in this huge necessity of having different kind of role. What are the skills you consider in a young designer approaching design nowadays?
Okay. To me, I think the most important skill is to work in a team, so to be able to give your contribute, but at the same time also take the opinion from the others, because the project, especially on this scale, cannot be possible to be done by one person. So it's a teamwork. So this is very important, and have the approach, try to understand that you need to learn every single day. So also for us, we don't feel, okay, we know everything, now we can face. No, we try also to experiment every day, something different, to learn. So having this approach, I think, can help. Can really help, and we think that this teamwork ability is essential, because working with different departments, different ability, you may not be able to do everything, because this is not possible. You maybe specialize on some parts, so cooperating with the other people in your office or your colleagues can really help a lot.
Yeah, that's very important. In a certain manner, a good manager should take in serious consideration the ability of the people working for him more than what he's able to do, because you can face the complexity just having the commitment of all the group. So team building is very important. Sometimes people think that in your case you have Marco Piva, and Marco Piva is everything. I mean, Marco Piva is giving the whole control, because another point that is very clear from the project you present is that you cannot recognize Marco Piva, meaning that you is always a merge between the designer and the clients and so on and so forth. So I really appreciate the fact that obviously all the projects have something in common, which is the glamour, the attention to materials and so on. But all the projects are different, because you take in consideration the language of clients. Students are very shy, but they are always shy, so don't feel frustrated because they are not making questions, because they are always in this always not so curious to try to face designers. So the other question,
add something is also try to be curious as much as possible during your career. So to make research, go to fair, go to see materials, because your learning activity doesn't end at the university. So you need to keep learning, and this is what Marco Piva is trying to pass as a message to all of us every day. And this is the first one that has this approach. Even if he's a master and is really able, I don't know how to control all the projects that we are doing at the same time, that are really many in different fields. But he likes to have the control of all the different projects, different scale. And as you said, the peculiarity of not having the project all the same, but try to reflect also the client personality, the site condition, the site culture. And this, I think, is an added value, because if we try to make a project that can work, if I put it in China, in Australia, in US, in Africa, is not the way, because you need to first try to brief what is the atmosphere of the country, what is the atmosphere and the client expectation that you can reflect in the project. Otherwise, you find yourself as main designer, you do your design, but maybe it's not appreciated from the client and from the user.
Okay. The other question is connected to sustainability, because you start your presentation presenting the values behind, underlined your projects, the studio projects. So how, in your opinion, the perception of sustainability is changed from clients' point of view? Because we used to pay, as designers, we used to pay attention to ergonomics and sustainability and so on and so forth. So most of the time it's quite complicated to convince clients that they have to accept to pay more or to appreciate some finishing and so on, because they are more sustainable than others. How is going on the relationship between you and clients from a sustainability point of view?
I must say that in the past few years, we got very more sensitive approach from the clients. For example, in China, one of the latest projects that we are designing, Smart Tourism Hotel, is a project that's required to have 2 certifications. So the sustainability certification for the lead, and as well also the Chinese one. with the highest rate. So it means that there is a very big interest from the client, considering that, okay, for sure it is highly cost in the project, because achieving 2 certification, it means having lead consultant for the lead, the other consultant for the other protocol, to have all the consultants able to work within the requirement of these 2 certification. And we noticed the Chinese one is also much restricted than the international one. So we think that all the countries, they are really being more sensitive on the sustainability. I don't think just to make it as a marketing tool to show that they have a sustainable project and also they are careful about the environment, but I think we are more sensitive all in general, because we want to care about our planet. So we understood that if we select materials that are more sustainable, we can also help our planet. And of course, can be also an added value also on the marketing way for operators. Why not? This can also be described in the communication of the project. So if you think about all the benefits, at the end, most of the clients, they are very sensitive. Not all, that's for sure, not all, but we noticed that we have this increasing in requests for sustainable projects.
Which is quite and also extremely good, because it's also our responsibility as designers to orientate in a certain manner the perception of sustainable topics. So students, don't be shy, come on. I have the impression that probably also the language is quite can be a problem, because you have so good English that now they are also shy because of the language.
You can speak Italian and I translate if you want for the Italian students. No problem. You ask me the question in Italian and I reply in English. If this is okay, because we are used to do conference call in Chinese, Russian. We are ready to any language. So.
Okay. Are you learning Chinese? Because to face all these projects, it's quite complicated.
To be honest, I tried, but I gave up, because it's like you need to put so much effort, and it's so difficult language that at the end, I think it's better to have our interpreter. We have, of course, people, Chinese architect and interior designer inside the office, because it's not enough to have an interpreter. Sometimes we notice. We find out so many misunderstandings, because just one word can be translated with a slightly different meaning. So at the end, you understood, maybe you understand something totally different, and it's a nightmare. So imagine that from the starting point with the Chinese, we have to make a contract in Chinese, sometimes with the Chinese language prevailing on the English. So everything is much more difficult than working in our country. But I think it's a challenge, and it's a really interesting territory. So we'd like to continue developing our design there. And there is plenty of opportunity, especially on the large scale projects. For example, we don't have any opportunity to do a design of 5 square kilometers that we just finished here in Italy. There is no way. There is a possibility to design and also to implement and see it realized. So it's a huge opportunity that we think we like to approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked for that because there's also a Chinese lady, but she's shy. So he is connected, as she's from China. I don't remember exactly the place, but it's very complicated to because it's not just a matter of translation; it's a cultural topic. Another point I want to stress is the fact that you mentioned several times the fact that considering the constraints, once you face some problem or some constraints, you try to transfer and make them an opportunity. Is that the case, for example, in Rome, when you discovered the mosaic? So I think I can imagine it was a very surprising situation at the beginning, but you have the force to transform that in an opportunity, changing probably the project and transforming that in a personal museum. So it is very important to keep learning and to keep changing, reconfiguring the project.
Yeah, you need to be ready to everything, because in that case we were desperate, I must say, because they stopped the site for 2 years. So we said, no, then the project will be stopped. How can we do? So it was a tragedy, but at the end of the day, you see that this tragedy became an added value for the people that will live in that residential building, because they will have their own museum private within the building. So it's not something that everyone has. So also the value of their apartment will be higher than what we supposed to have. So yeah, I think every time you need to be ready to be very flexible. So the approach to design should be quite flexible and not be too much afraid of what can happen in terms of client requests. Also, all the time try to see the client request not as a must, but you can also discuss with them, because sometimes we have been given some guidelines, some requests that we thought in our experience that were wrong, that could not work. So instead of saying, yes, they pay us, so yes, of course we do it, okay, and then find out that when you implement it's not a good decision, better also to be not only designer, but a consultant of the client. So be on the side of the client saying, for your interest, so in the interest of the project, we do this, or we suggest you to do this. Then maybe they give you they continue with the same guideline, why not? But you can discuss with them. So don't take your role as I'm only the designer, I'm only I need to do what they ask me. Because sometimes also our clients, they say, don't ask me too much what I want. I call you, so you propose me what you think is the best for my project. So the briefs that we receive are sometimes totally different. So from a brief with so much detail, with PDF, I want this and this described for each space, to other idea. For example, one client we have said, I trust you so much. I know your projects are beautiful. Do whatever you think is better for me. Okay, but can you give me at least a guideline, little brief, something about a huge project? I trust you. So sometimes also we get brief like this. So sometimes it's better to work with constraint and to have a precise brief, because if you have some constraint, it's easier in a way to meet their idea, their guideline. If you are totally free, maybe, yeah, from first point of view, you think it's a good thing, so I can do whatever I want. But what is whatever you want? So it's really also depending on understanding what is required by the site, by the project, by the client. So when you have totally freedom, sometimes can be a risk, I think. According to the experience that we have, we notice that when the clients say, I like your work, do whatever you want, better to understand with them, try to at least find, prepare a pre-concept, try to see some direction before you go too much in detail on the project. So you say, maybe I want to go this direction, helping with the keywords, with some reference images of your project, to guide them what can be the direction, color scheme, and then you can carry on the project. Otherwise, you risk to go too much in detail, and then they stop you totally.
Yeah, not having a defined brief, a detailed brief is too much risky. So you risk the fact that you come with a solution that they are not prepared to get. So it's very risky. So it is important when the brief is not detailed to go to deepen and try to define more details, trying to anticipate what's going on the project. I do have another question regarding the relationship. How is different trying to design something within an architecture structure or a freestanding product? I mean, because you mentioned the fact that sometimes you design something within an architectural project and then that element goes into the catalog or vice versa. How can you imagine? Because if you have a very specific project, you cannot work around with stamps and so on. If you are designing marvelous villas for just one person, how can you imagine? How can you manage the technology and the specific design?
Yes, so for doing a project about architecture, interior design, so this, of course, is the best approach for us. When we have the total control of the project, that's much better. But of course, we know that most of the time, especially abroad, they don't have the culture of having one consultant that can be in charge of architecture, that is the building, interior, that is the decoration, then maybe some product. For them, it's a bit confusing, so they prefer. They say, but you design architecture or interior? No, we can do everything. They get confused, so they think you should do one of the two. So if we have the opportunity, sometimes with the tender, we do a competition. So maybe for the Gallia, just to make an example, we won as an architecture, lighting and landscape. Another firm won for the interior. Then the client decided that project was not aligned with their guideline and their idea, so they asked us to do also the interior. So in this case, we had the opportunity to do everything. But this is a unique case. Not all the time you have this opportunity. So you need to handle project by project and to implement the technology. That was your question. I think you really need to meet with the company, the producer, the manufacturer. So your design is not only on paper, but you need to have all the contacts of this manufacturer that can create your product. And maybe most of the time you are also designing something that is new. So the manufacturer, they don't know maybe how to realize it because it's something new. For example, in the dome that I show you for the private spa, of the suite, we had this lighting with the water jet, so it's an element combined with this water jet color, lighting, different temperature of lighting. So it was an object that didn't exist in the market. So we had to customize, but not one of the manufacturers can do it because it's a combination between lighting and also water. So how we do it? We decide to have a meeting with two of them, two specialists, one specialist for lighting, one specialist for water. We put them together. We said, we have this idea, how we can do it to meet with the certification, with all the requirements specific for this location. Is it possible to, because otherwise it's going to be a project for hospitality, so should be certified, should have a specific requirement of use. They said, we don't know, maybe it's not possible to do it. Then we merged them together, we did several meetings, we did a prototype, at the end it was possible. So the first idea that you have in your mind, maybe to create a project, don't stop at the first, no, this is not possible, because of course, we understand that from the supplier point of view, maybe they prefer to do something where they are more confident and it's something they already produce. So why you don't use my product? Maybe we customize the finish, or we make it bigger, smaller, but at least it's within the catalog. No, sometimes we create this challenge with the people we know it's possible to do it. So we have this database of suppliers, and this I think is something you need also, I suggest to the students to build, because to build this database for them and to start understanding who can then realize my design, because as I said, the design doesn't stop when you finish your rendering and your technical drawing. Even if you go one-to-one detail, then you need to find someone that can realize your detail at the highest level. Otherwise, they will go into your space that you design, and they will say, who designed this space? It's not well designed. Maybe you design perfectly, but if they realize it in a bad way with the details, the glue is not well done, or they put the wrong glue under marble of 2,000 euro per square meter, maybe your marble comes out with all the yellow stuff and it's not working well. But maybe the specification was good, but you didn't control which sort of glue they used. So at the end of the day, I think you need really to have an overview on everything. Sometimes it's possible to do it, sometimes it's more difficult if the project is on the other part of the world. You need to find a way of controlling. So, for example, in China, we ask to get all the construction drawing, all the picture of the samples when they install it before they stick. We check. So we have one dedicated team to check all the construction drawings and the specification. And this is the only way to make sure that at the end they do something that is exactly how you design it.
Yes, once more, more of what you are able to do, it is important what your the people that are working with you are able to do. So it is once again the networking and the cooperation is something which is extremely important to succeed in doing project. So I think students, that's the last the last chance for you to make questions. I'm sure they are going to make questions to me. So please, Daniela, I'm just asking to give me the opportunity to to send your question, because I'm sure they will do separately.
The first one that will send the question will have the opportunity to make an interview with our CEO for an internship in our office. The most courageous person.
That's very challenging. So I'm going to say it in Italian. Il primo che in qualche modo farà una domanda avrà la possibilità di fare un'intervista e magari anche uno stage, un internship nello studio. Quindi lo dico in italiano in modo che sia chiaro anche ai ragazzi. So back to English, I think we can close the meeting, as I was very short in presenting ADI, because students are almost the same across the meeting. I really want to thank you, Daniela, for your wondering presentation and for presenting the how marvelous the projects are, but how important and how can I say, you can reach that level of project because you are so many and so good, keep under control everything, and keep trying to innovate the process. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you to all the studio, and also to the guy, I don't remember, Emanuele, probably the name.
Daniel.
Okay, Eugenio, sorry, next to you for preparing the slides. So
I want to thank you, Antonella, to thank you, ADI, and you in particular for inviting us. I pass also my regard from Armando Bruno that is traveling, but if he was here, for sure, he was here with us to join our lecture. And I think it's an honor for us to be here, and I suggest to the student to continue listening to the new lecture, because I had the opportunity to listen just a few of the past, I think 2 of the past, and they were really, really interesting also for me. So I think it's not just student dedicated, but it's also for professional, because we have some different viewpoints, some different experience, because each one has an experience on different fields. So I think maybe now you don't know how, where you will work, in which specific field. So I think architecture, interior design is communication is a wide word. So you may start from one project scale to another one. Why not? So better to really understand the experience, real experience of the different architectural offices, so you may learn more and understand more what is our beautiful job. And thank you to Eugenio for preparing all the slides.
Yes, and you are the proof that to be a designer, to manage that complexity, one needs to be made in a certain manner. So considering and taking some words from Steve Jobs that were conceived in university context, I will say, and I will finish this meeting saying that stay hungry, stay foolish, but most of all, be mad. Thank you to all. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Eugenio.
Thank you all. If you want to make any question, you can write me an email. Maybe you are afraid now, but I'm available. Antonella can provide my email, no problem. So
thank you for that. I'll do for sure.
Thank you, Antonella. Ciao a tutti. Arrivederci.